we just gave a sort of preliminary setup of these planks, the two garboard planks. So big difference in Western boat building. In Western boat building, the planks are much, much narrower, and they are thinner for the length of boat. So they're very easy to manipulate. You know, Mitch and I, two of us can haul one of these around and bend it in place. And, oh, back to me, back to you. No. Let me do it. Okay. All right, now you're down, considerably down.
That's dropped.
Boy, it looks good at the bow.
Right, I'm a boo out, back to front.
Okay, I think we're okay fore and aft. So, but so the top edge of the plank is going right on that corner.
Yep.
Okay, good deal. Set it as deep as it'll go. No, stand it up straight. Yep. Not super tight. Just close it. Okay. Okay. We're good there. What's our height there?
We're a boo line. Or should we just loosen this clamp, that clamp, and see if we can...
Yep. Oh.
Is that loose?
Oop.
Pause. Yep. You good? You got it?
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta go high.
What are we on?
A little more.
Okay.
Eyeball that mark.
To you. Pause.
Go ahead and eyeball for distance as best you can. To the stem.
Yep.
Just eyeball. Whoa. Go back. No, go down. Way too high. Come out, up, down. Oh boy. Yeah, like that. What's our distance like? Pretty good.
We're just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're soft at that.
All right, let it go. But very different from planking a Western boat. Big, thick panels, so, you know, we can bend them, but we can't shift them in the other dimension, or what's called edge setting. It just is a more unwieldy plank than you would see in most Western boats. But it goes together fast, because you're making up a lot of space with one plank. So anyway, we got to fine tune this, get it clamped into place, get our seam tight with the bottom, and once we're satisfied with that, we will start the process of fastening these first two planks. So that's it. We're building a boat. It finally looks like a boat. So pat ourselves on the back. So I've talked about the disadvantages we're at with a concrete floor and the high ceilings. We can't prop against anything. We just got the garboard planks on and brought them together at the stem. This is the trickiest clamping operation we've got. And we did fashion, what we did before on the previous three boats was make a pair of bars like this with a wedge on the bottom and clamp them to the plank and then run on either side and then run a clamp across, trying to get vertical surface to clamp to and squeeze the bottom of the boat together, clamp across the top to squeeze the top of the planks together. And that worked, but we tried something new here, which is a Spanish windlass. So a loop of rope, we took some bars and made something just to protect the planking from the rope itself. a loop of rope tied to itself, bars inserted and twisted. And it generates a lot of force. And so twisting top and bottom, we pulled the planks in. And as long as we keep these clamps, oh, that's loose. We keep these clamps on. The taper, as you squeeze things, the taper wants to then pull everything forward. So we clamp those. That clamp came loose. So we got it in tight. And there's a little bit of a gap down here, and so we are falling back on a tried and true boat building technique, Japanese boat building technique.
That's all. You don't have
called
to do that.
suriawase, which means rub fit. It's a good translation. And using this special boat building rip saw, got a little bit of gap on this side, and I can insert the saw. Saw where it's tight. We just need to remove a little material at the forward end of the bottom. And I'll make these saw passes, just removing material. If necessary, I can wedge this open a little bit, saw a little further back. You just want to taper it out. That's actually the reason the Japanese boat building saw ends with a taper, is that you can work it into little spots like that and just kind of taper this cut, this removal of material, and start to get a better fit. And once we have a good fit, then we will judiciously start to fasten around all our props and windlass and clamps and the like, and obviously the fastenings will hold everything together. We did set up a prop underneath. This worked kind of well, but you see what we had to do? We had to put a piece of wood on the floor with stops screwed into either end of it, and then props going up with wedges to push in the boat. Again, in a regular boat shop with a rough wood floor or a clay floor, this thing across the bottom wouldn't be necessary. The props would get enough friction where they contacted the floor to work just fine. So if this were a really rough surface concrete floor, it might be great. We have a little bit of saw fitting up here that will just improve this fit. This plank fits really nicely, kind of right out of the box, and we're just struggling a little bit. We'll get a fit here. So, you can probably appreciate where it's tight, it means there's a high spot, and by carefully running the saw through that, you cut off that high spot, and once you're through, you should have a better fit. So it's a kind of a painstaking process, but this is really one of the essential techniques of Japanese boat building. And if we were building this boat totally traditionally, every single watertight seam in the boat would have been treated this way. The lengthwise seams between the bottom planks, lengthwise seams like this one between the garboard plank, the fit at the transom, the fit at the stem. A boat builder would have done that fit with these special hand saws, just like this. These saws are now pretty rare. There were saw makers that specialized in them. I think any competent saw maker can make one. It's basically a rip saw, a Japanese rip saw, but then that profile is kind of unique. But you can still get them. I know sources that can get them. So, but actually, any rip saw will do. In fact, I met a boat builder in Nagano a few years ago who bought a very large version of these. You know, this is the saw that most Westerners are familiar with the cross-cut teeth on one side and the rip teeth on the other. And he simply bought one of these and cut that boat building profile, cut off some of the cross-cut teeth and gave himself the profile. So all you really need to do this is a good rip saw. I think that's it for now. We gotta get this final fit, and then we'll start fastening.